work site list. Otherwise, everything is going to be a lot of this. I have no idea what to see.
Here, hold on a second. Yeah, and I'm not gonna have an announcement list either. I kept the one from last week in my bag here because,
What is Craigie's to read?
I think Jessica was finishing it, and so she handed it to him, but I don't know what happened to it after that. This is a new print. He'll never be here, but this would have been a good one, but he'll never be here for it. Isn't it funny how I doubt he'll be here. He was here last night, so, but he usually doesn't come in time. If you wanna leave one out for him, you know, just leave one towards the end. It's funny because this is my great grandfather's name, and I know my mom probably heard it last night. My grandfather, and I'm like, oh, it wasn't. No, yeah, she's here, but it's a father-in-law, so I don't think it's. I don't know if that works for. Take it. You can take that. Just at the end, hand it back to you.
Oh, these are last.
This is last week's, but it's not. You know, there is a hum. Can you hear the hum? Can you hear the hum? There's a microphone hum. We're gonna need the canner to figure that one out. I'm not touching it.
So,
Great. So we'll punt. I think you can see we're going to be I expect it to be very. We'll have the. Well, if anyone wants to study after, I've got a great topic. So we'll see if anyone wants to do that. Yeah, we'll just go into it real fast and be done in 20, but it's kind of cool stuff. Okay, so this is not really cool. This is gross. Can you all hear the hum? Can you hear a hum? Yes? We're going to get started. However, I need the cantor to help out with a little hum. Cantor, there's a hum that is.
That's because of the
So I don't know if
parts of the congregation. They're humming.
they're humming. I wish it was that. However, I don't think that's.
I'll do it and tell them.
I thought you might know.
I think just maybe I'll go back there.
Play around a little bit. If you stand over here, you can hear it.
Oh, you're right.
Do you hear it? Well, we'll try to get rid of that little bit of hum. We were rocking here last night, so maybe it's just what's left amidst the walls of our playing and singing and dancing and enjoying last night. Still hearing it. I don't know if we can just turn it something down slightly. Oh, that seems better. No, I still hear it just faintly. Hello? Can you all hear a hum? I still hear it a little bit, but very faint.
I think it's one of these little things here.
I think that's off, so
Oh, good. That's good.
I think it's this one. It seemed like when I walked over here, it was. This doesn't help if this gets moved.
Yeah, but that's okay. So these are all stuff we don't need.
Wait a minute. Oh, this is not, okay. Yeah.
Do you hear it?
Not like I did before. I think we're okay.
I think people got so pleased from yesterday that they don't want to come today because it's enough.
Yep.
All right.
So let's do it. We're gonna rock and roll. I'll do psuke,
Yeah.
and you can pick up after that. That'll work. And we'll do what we can do.
I was very pleased with yesterday. I think everyone enjoyed singers and band.
Yep.
Yes, sir. Your response. Whoa.
Thanks.
That was really well
Appreciate
delivered
it.
and written and hard. I mean, like you could hear a pin drop. Did you hear that?
Seemed like it, yeah. It's hard to know, but yeah.
No. I knew. It was so good.
Thank you.
It was like, and I have no idea what I say. Something about love.
Yes, you said very nice words about love. No problem. All right, let's go get it. Yeah, we're a few minutes late, but we're gonna do what we can. We're very small, but we're mighty, right? Are you feeling mighty? Bruce will be back in here. He's mighty. You'll let us know. We'll watch for our minion. We're not quite there, but we're gonna do what we can. And we're more than halfway. We're actually more than halfway. Yeah, we got 7. So people are still partying from last night. I'm sure of it. We should be out there partying with them, but we'll take a break in here and enjoy ourselves with a little more partying. You can never party too much. So we rise. We rise for Birkat HaShachar as we begin with blessings that remind us it is simply a gift to be able to get up in the morning, to be free, to be Jewish, to have our bodies work the way they can, to be clothed, to be able to stand up straight, which sometimes isn't always that easy, and to be thankful for who we are. So page 103. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lasech bibina levavchin ben yom uvein laila. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shesani b'tzalmo. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shesani ben chorin. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shesani Yisrael.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam pokeach ivrim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam malbish arumim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam matir asurim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam zokef kifufim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam rokaretz al hamayim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamechim et tzadei gaver. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shasali kol tzorki. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam ozer Yisrael bigvura. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam oter Yisrael betif ara. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hanotein liya'ev koach. May be seated. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Rutneinu hayam v'chol yom l'chenu chesed arachamim be'einecha u'beinei chol ro'einu v'tigmalenu chasadim tovim. Baruch atah Adonai gomel chasadim tovim le'amo Yisrael. 105. Le'olam yeh adam nirei shamayim b'seit v'galuhi. Model ha'emet dover emet b'vavo v'yeshkem b'yom. Ashreinu matov chelkeinu manayim goralenu mayafa yerushatenu. Ashreinu shanachnu mashkimim amarivim erev vavoker v'yomrim pamayim b'chol yom. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai echad. Baruch Shem kavod malchut le'olam va'ed. Atahu ad shalom yevram. Kadesh et shimcha u'makdishei shemecha v'kadesh et shimcha b'olamecha u'vishuatcha tarim v'tagbia karnenu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh et shimcha b'harabim. So we turn over to page 108, 107, 108, and you will find our selections for study. And as I have been going through the passages, the Pirkei Avot selection, rather, from 6:6, that reminds us of the qualities that we need to have in order to acquire Torah. So I've been kind of dancing around on some of these things, but I'm going to look at V'hasameach B'chelko, which is at the very top of page 108. And you can look down, you can see all of the different things that we need to acquire Torah. In order to really understand Torah, we have to study, we have to have a listening ear, we have to be careful in how we talk, we have to have an understanding heart, which I think we need to promote in the world today, very much so. I think that's something people are losing quickly, and I think it is a challenge that we as a Jewish community can try to foster within ourselves and outside of ourselves in the community. But if you look at the second teaching on the top of 108, V'hasameach b'chelko, finding joy in one's lot. That is a tough thing when it's a difficult environment outside. Finding happiness in what we have, basically, and that's a wonderful reminder that whatever joys we wake up with in the morning, we need to acknowledge them and be happy about them, and recognize that. It could be a lot worse, of course, but that there are others who are even in greater need than we are. And even when we do have difficulties, we do have strengths and we have wonderful gifts that do touch us in our lives if we're willing to look for them. And in order to acquire Torah, a heart of Torah, this is a quality we need to carry with us through life. It's okay to have a tough time, but don't get mired and lost in the fact that you think you don't have good things too, because they are there. So keep that in mind as we go into the concluding paragraph of our study, page 110, under the Aleph. Yehi ratzon milfonecha Adonai Eloheinu v'lehavotenu v'imotenu shetiten chalkenu b'toratecha v'nihiyem tamidav shel Aharon hakohen. Ohev shalom v'rodev shalom, ohev et habriot u'mekarvan la Torah. We do the last two lines of Kadishta Rabbanan as we await our minyan. Bottom of 111. Yehi Shlama Rabba Min Shemaya V'chayim Tovim Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael V'imru Amen. Oseh Shalom Bimromav Hu Barachamav Ya'aseh Shalom Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael V'al Kol Yoshvei Tevel V'imru Amen. We turn to 112. There you will find the Psalm for Shabbat. Hayom Shom Yom Shabbat Kodesh Shebo Hayu Hovim Omrim B'Veit HaMikdash Mizmor Shir Le'Yom HaShabbat Tov Lehodot L'Adonai L'El Yon L'Agidon L'Ogel L'Chastachav L'Hidayan L'Chinaki. Od Yunivim B'Seva Deshenim V'Ra'ananim Yihiyu L'Hagid Ki Yashar Adonai Tzuri V'Lo Avlah Tabo. Cantor, if you'll remind me to do Le David at the end. Yeah, remind me at the end. We're going to do it at the end. I think it's a nicer time to do it. So we turn over to page 120. 120, you'll find the 30th Psalm. Tabayit le David, armim charonai ki dilitani, velo simach toivali. Lema'an yizamercha chavod velo yidam, Adonai lahai le'olam odeka. Once again, you'll find the last two lines of the Mourner's Kaddish, page 121. As we affirm life together, bottom two verses. Yehi Shlama Rabba Min Shemaya V'chayim Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael V'imru Amen. Oseh Shalom Bimromav Hu Ya'aseh Shalom Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael V'imru Amen. We turn over to 122 as we rise for Baruch She'amar. Baruch she'amar v'haya ha'olam, Baruch hu, Baruch oseh v'reishit, Baruch omer v'yoseh, Baruch gozerum kayim, Baruch merachem ha'aretz, Baruch merachem ha'briot, Baruch meshalem sachar tov l'reav, Baruch ha'la'ad v'kayam la'netzach, Baruch bodeu matzil, Baruch shemo, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, ha'elhav ha'rachaman ha'muhlal b'fi amo, mishubach umfar b'lshon chasidav ha'avadav, uvshivrei David avdecha nehalelcha Adonai Eloheinu, bishvachot v'izmerot negadelcha unshabechecha unfa'ercha, v'naskir shimcha v'namlichecha malkeinu Eloheinu, yachid chei ha'olamim, melech meshubach umfar adead shemo hagadol, Baruch atah Adonai melech mehulal batishvachot. You may be seated. We're on 136. There you will find Ashrei. Ashrei, Ashrei, Veitecha, Od Yalalu Chasela. Ashrei Am Shekachalo, Ashrei Am Shadonai Lahav. Tehilat Adonai Yedaber Pi Vivarech Basar Shem Kodsho Le'olam Va'ed V'anachnu Nevarech Ya Me'atav Yad Olam Alleluia Alleluia Halleli Nafshi Et Adonai Halala Adonai B'chayai Azamra L'Elahai Be'odi El Tituhu. We're on page 137. Adonai shomer et gerim yatom v'amana yoded v'derech rishayim ye'avet yimloch Adonai le'olam melech tzien l'dor v'dor Hallelujah Hallelujah Ki tov zomer Eloheinu ki na'im navati la Bonei Yerushalayim Adonai Melech Yisrael. Shabachi Yerushalayim et Adonai Adonai Hayech Tzion Ki Rizak V'richei Sharech. Magid v'rav liYakov chukav u'mishpatav liYisrael lo asachen l'chol goy mishpatim bal yedaum Hallelujah 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 et Adonai min hashamayim Hallelu b'amramim Hallelu kol melachav Hallelu kol tzva'av Hallelu shemesh v'yareach Hallelu kol koch ve'or Hallelu shmei hashamayim v'hamayim asher me'al hashamayim. Vayarem Karen Leamo Tehila Lechol Chasidav Lifnei Yisrael Kerovo Hallelujah Hallelujah Shir Ladonai Shir Chadash Tehila Tov B'Kol Chasidim Yismach Yisrael Be'Yosef V'Netzion Yarelu Shema Lachol Asuna Kamavi. Lehesor malchechem bizikim b'nichmadechem b'chavlei varzel la'asot pahem mishpat katuv hadarhu l'chol chasidav. Hallelujah. Page 141, we joined together the 150th Psalm, the very last one in the book of Psalms. And if you notice in there, there is the word B'tekah shofar. I thought about that last night, by the way, as we had our saxophone and our bass, and I'm thinking, well, we did kind of meld tradition and modernity, but if we were doing the traditional, we would have had our shofar be part of our band, right? Yeah, but we have the sax. That was kind of cool. Page 141 at the top. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Bekodsho, hallelujah, hallelujah, birkia uzo, hallelujah, 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 big burotav, hallelujah, hallelujah, kerov, good Lord. Hallelujah, 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 B'tekah shofar, hallelujah, hallelujah, v'nevel v'chinor, hallelujah, 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 B'tof u'machol, hallelujah, hallelujah, b'minim ve'ugav, hallelujah, 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 b'tzil tzolei shama, hallelujah, hallelujah, b'tzil tzolei jeruah, kol haneshama tehallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah, kol haneshama tehallelujah, hallelujah, kol haneshama tehallelujah, hallelujah. Baruch Adonai Le'olam, Amen ve'amen. Baruch Adonai Mitzion Shechon Yerushalayim, hallelujah. Baruch Adonai Elohim, Elohei Yisrael, Seniflo Levado, Ubaruch Shem Kvodo Le'olam, V'melek Kvodo et Chol ha'aretz. Amen ve'amen. We rise the top of 142. Vayivarech David et Adonai le'kol vayomer David. Atahu Adonai Elohim asher becharta v'Avram v'hotzeta me'or kasdim v'samta shem Avraham u'matzatod levavo ne'eman lefanecha v'charat imor habrit latet et eretz haknani achiti amamri. V'hayam v'kata lifnehem v'yaru b'toch hayam v'yabasha v'yet rodfehem yishlach tabim tzilot kamo even v'mayim mazim. 143. Vayosh Adonai v'yom hahud Yisrael miad Mitzrayim v'yar Yisrael et Mitzrayim meit al sfat hayam v'yar Yisrael tayad hagdola asher asa Adonai b'Mitzrayim v'yiruham et Adonai v'yaminu b'Adonai uv'Moshe avdo az yashir Moshe u'bnei Yisrael et hashira hazod l'Adonai vayomru le'mor ashira l'Adonai ki goga sus verach v'rahama vayam oziv v'zimrat yahav vayehi li lishua Zeli v'yan vehu Elohei aviva roma menhu Adonai ish milchama Adonai shemo Markevot paro v'chelo yaharavayam Umivchashon shavtu b'yam suv Smart kamo island. Adonai yimloch leolam va'ed Adonai yimloch leolam va'ed Ki l'Adonai amlucha Moshe ba'goyim v'yalu Moshim b'hartzion lishpot et ha'esav v'hayta l'Adonai mulcha v'haya Adonai l'melech l'kol ha'aretz Bayom hahui Adonai echad u'shemo echad. You are welcome to be seated. We're on 145. Nishmat kol chai tevarech et shimcha Adonai Eloheinu v'ruach kol basar. Tevarer remain zichar chamalkin tamid. I'm on the very bottom of 146, 3 lines from the bottom. Nehalelcha unshabechecha unfa'ercha unvarech et shem kodshecha ka'amor leDavid. Barchi nafshi et Adonai v'chol kravai et shem kodsho. Ha'el b'tatzumot uzecha hagadol b'chvod shemecha hagibor lanetzach v'hanora b'norotecha. Hamelech hayoshev al kisei ram v'nisa. With that, we conclude our preliminaries that get us going for this morning. And yes, we have a minion. Thank you. I think people are home partying still. I am tongue-tied this morning because I must have just partied too much last night. I can't get the words out this morning. But we are going to continue forward into the Shacharit service. I'm going to take my Sidor with me, and Cantor will take us through Shacharit on 147.
שוכן עד מרום וקדוש שמו וכתוב רננו צדיקים באדוני לישרים נאווה תהילה בפי ישרים תתהלל ודברי צדיקים תתברך ובלשון חסידים תתרומם, ובקרב קדושים תתקדש. על כל דברי שירות ותשבחות, דוד בן ישי, עבדך משיחך.
148, we rise.
ישתבח שמך לעד מלכנו. ברכות והודאות מעתה ועד עולם, ברוך אתה אדוני. אל מלך גדול, גדול בתשבחות, אל ההודעות, אדון הנפלאות, הבוחר בשירי זמרה, מלך אל, מלך מלכי העולמים.
Middle of 148, Chatzi Kaddish.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבו. וילמד דברי חילותי וימליך מלכותי בחייכון וביומייכון ובחייתך בית ישראל. בעגלה וזמן קריב ויאמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבא מבורך. יתברך וישתבח ויתברך ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי לקודשו לילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תשבחתה ונחמתה דמירן בעלמה ואמרו
149.
ברכו את אדוני המבורך. ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם יוצר אור ובורא חושך עושה שלום ובורא את הכל.
You may be seated. We're on the top of 150.
מאפס בלתך גואלנו ללמוד המשיח. ואין תומלך מושיענו לתחיית המתים. אלא אדון על כל המעשים, ברוך ומבורך בפי כל הנשמה, גודלו וטובו מלא עולם. דעת ודבונה סובב מותו, המתגאה על חיות הקודש, ונהדר בכבוד על המרכבה, זכות ומישור לפני חיסור, חסד ורחמים לפני כבודו. טובים מאורות שברו אלוהינו, יצרם בדעת בבינה ובהשכל, כוח וגבורה נתן בהם, להיות מושלים בקרב תבל, מלאים זיו ומפיקים נוגת, נוער זיוום בכל העולם. שמחים בצאתם וששים בבואם, עושים בהם הרצון קונם, פה וכבוד נותנים לשמוע, צהלה ורינה לזכר מלכותו. קרא לשמש ויזרח אורה, והתקין צורת הלבנה, שבח נותנים לו כל צבא מרום, תפארת וגדולה שרפים ויופנים וחיות הקודש. תברך מושיענו, אשר פרסי ידיך ויאמרהו, שעשית יפרוך שלום. תברך צורנו מלכנו וגואלנו, פורי קדושים. וכולם פותחים את פיהם בקדושה וטהרה, בשירה ובזמרה, ומברכים ומשבחים ומפארים, ומריצים ומקדישים וממליכים. בסוף אבנו ונבנים הקדושה כולם כאחד עונים ואומרים ביראה. והאופנים וחיות הקודש ברעש גדול מתנסים לעומת שרפים, לעומתם משבחים ואומרים ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו. אור חדש ציון תאיר, ונזכה כולנו מהרה לאורו, מהרה לאורו. ברוך אתה אדוני יוצר המאורות.
We're on 154.
והערנו בתורתך ודבק ליבנו במצוותיך, ויחד לבבינו לאהבה ויראה את שמך ולא נמוש לעולם ועד ולא נבוש לעולם ועד כי בשם קודשך הגדול והגיב בטחנו נגילה ונשמחה בשועתך והביאנו לשלום מרבת כנפות הארץ ותוליכנו פנימית ירצנו כי אל פועל ישועות אתם ובחרתך מכל העם ולשון וקירבתנו לשמך הגדול סלע בימים להודות לך ויחדך באהבה ברוך אתה אדוני הבוחר בעמו ישראל באהבה
155.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha V'chol levavcha v'chol nafshecha U'v'chol meotecha V'hayu הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם
בשבתך בביתך
ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם להיות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך.
We join in the English on 155. You shall love Adonai your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all that is yours. These words that I command you this day shall be taken to heart. Teach them again and again to your children. Speak of them when you sit in your home, when you walk on your way, when you lie down, and when you rise up. Bind them as a sign upon your hand and as a symbol above your eyes. Inscribe them upon the doorposts of your homes and on your gates. We continue silently until the middle of the page, 156. In the middle of page 156, you'll find the biblical instruction to wear the tzitzit, a reminder of the mitzvot. We have the custom of pulling together those four corners of our talit, those four tzitzit, and it's a reminder to us that only when we pull together can we truly make the world a better place, can we truly do the mitzvot that we are charged to do. Judaism, we know, is not a singular institution, it's not an individual religion. We are a community, and we act as a community, and this is certainly a reminder, that physical reminder, as we take those four corners of those talit, we pull together the four corners of the world, if you will, and recognize that it takes all of us to make the world the best that it can be. We're on 156 in the middle in the Torah trope.
ויאמר אדוני אל משה לאמור דבר אל בני ישראל ואמרת עליהם ועשו להם ציצית על כנפי בגדיהם לדורותם ונתנו על ציצית הכנף פתיל תכלת והיה לכם לציצית וראיתם אותו, וזכרתם את כל מצוות אדוני, ועשיתם אותם, ולא תטו אחרי לבבכם, ואחרי עיניכם, אשר אתם זונים אחריהם, למען תזכרו, ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. אדוני אלוהיכם. לדור ודור. הוא קיים ושמו קיים וחיסון נכון ומלכותו ואמרתו לעד קיימת. גואלנו גואל אבותינו ואמותינו יוצרנו וישועתנו ובהודינו מצילנו מעולם שמך אלוהים זולתך. Baruch hu mevorach Moshe u'Miriam u'bnei Yisrael lechanu shira בזמחה רבה ויאמרו כולם מי כמוך באלים אדוני מי כמוך נדר בקודש נורא תהילות אוסף אלן שירה חדשה שיבחו גאולים לשמך אספת הים יחד כולם הודו והם הליכו ואמרו אדוני מלוך לעולם ועד.
Rise, please.
צור ישראל, קומה בעזרת ישראל, ופדחנו ממך יהודה וישראל. קדוש ישראל, ברוך אתה אדוני כל ישראל.
159, find the Amidah.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו ואימותינו אלוהי אברהם אלוהי יצחק ואלוהי יעקב אלוהי שרה ואלוהי רבקה ואלוהי רחל ואלוהי לאה האל הגדול הגיבור והנורא אל עליון גומל חסדים הטובים וקודני הכל וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות ומביא גואל לבני בניהם למען שמו באהבה מלך עוזר ופוקד ומושיע ומגן ברוך אתה אדוני מגן אברהם ופוקד שרה אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני מחיה מתים אתה רב להושיע ומוריד אתה מכלכל חיים. ברחמים רבים סהומך נופלים, רופא חולים ומציל אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר, מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומגדול מלך, מחיה ומצמיח ישוע, ונאמן אתה להחיות מתים, ברוך אתה אדוני מחיה המתים. מקדש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, ככתוב על יד נביאך, וכרז אל זה ואמר. מעוז בקור אש גדול, מאדיר וחזק משמיעים קול, מתנשאים לעומת שרפים, לעומתם ברוך יאמרו. ממקומך מכינו תופיע ותמלוך עלינו כי מחכים אנחנו לך. מתי תמלוך בציון, בקרוב בימינו, לעולם ועד, לעולם ועד, תשכון. תתגדל ותתקדש בתוך ירושלים עירך לדור ודור, לדור ודור, לנצח נצחים. ועינינו תראנה מלכותך, כדבר האמור בשירי עוזר, על ידי דוד משיח צדקך, ימלוך אדוני לעולם. לדור ודור נגיד לך, ולנצח נצחים קדושתך נקדיש. ושיבחך אלוהינו בימוש לעולם ועד, כי אל מלך גדול וקדוש אתה, ברוך אתה אדוני. הקדוש free. By the way. Yeah, what's that shalom's good. Well, I'll tell you what, at the end of the
So we continue with Kaddish Shalem on page 167.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, בלמד דברי חירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחיי חון ובימי וחיי כל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב יאמרו, יהי שמי רבה מבורך, לעולם ולעולמי עלמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתהלל ויתהלך שמי לקדושה בריחו לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ורחמתה תאמירן בעלמה ואמרו תתקבל צלותון ובאותון לכל ישראל קודם אבהון ושמיה ואמרו Amen. Yehei shlomo rabba min shemaya v'chayim alinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimeru. Oseh shalom bimromav hu yaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimeru. Imru amen, Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, Yaseh shalom, shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom. Shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, Yaseh shalom, shalom, Yaseh shalom. Shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom. Shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael.
Amen.
Amen.
With that, we conclude a beautiful Shachrit this morning. We turn over to page 168 for our Torah service. I'm going to invite up any of our B'nai Mitzvah I said post and pre and post.
Pre and post.
Pre and post. You know who you are, so I'm going to let you self-identify yourselves. Come on up as you help Cantor and I with Torah service. As we turn to page 168.
Hey, good to see you.
Max, nice to see you. Samuel, 168. We got the men's choir over here. I like it.
Yes.
We will, you know what? We're going to rise as we begin the Torah service. It's kind of hard. We keep missing the Torah. The ark gets open and no one's standing yet. And then we're standing, but the ark's not open yet. So 168, we rise for the Seder Hotza'at Torah, our service for taking out and studying the Torah. We begin as those on the bima lead us.
1, 2,
Adonai These are the mitzvot we fulfilled during the short span of human life, yet we recognize their effects can last forever. Honoring parents, doing deeds of loving kindness, attending worship services and study groups on a regular basis, welcoming guests, visiting the sick, rejoicing in celebrations of life, comforting the bereaved, probing the meaning of prayer, and making peace, making shalom between one human being and another. And the study of Torah underlies them all. Together we recite the bracha that reminds us that it is a mitzvah to make the study of Torah an ongoing part of our daily lives. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'vitzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. Amen. We continue page 170, Bei Anarachetz at the bottom. You'll find on page 171, Shema Echad Gadlu. We repeat after each of the first two lines as Max and Samuel lead us. 1, 2, 3.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad.
Echad Eloheinu Gadol Adonai
איתי, ונרוממה שמו יחדיו. אדוני הגדול, הגבורה, והתפארת, והנצח, וההוד. כי הוא בשמיים ובארץ, כי הוא בשמיים ובארץ. אדוני הממלכה, והמית נעשה
לכל לראש. רוממו, 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 אדוני אלוהינו, והשתחוו, והשתחוו, להדום רגליו קדוש הוא. רוממו, רוממו, אדוני אלוהינו, והשתחוו, והשתחוו, להר קודשו. כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו. As the Torah is on the Shulchan, you are welcome to be seated. You want to try to find it while I'm talking?
I'll reverse it. Should I share something about Torah, Joe? While you...
Oh, if you want, sure.
So, we all know that the chanting from the Bible dates back to what year? Here it is. It's an easy year to remember. 444 BCE, right? An easy year. So roughly the chant that you're hearing today is how many years old? All the math majors out there. 2,500 years old that has been passed down from generation to generation. And where was the first time we heard the chanting of the Torah? And why was it chanted? Why wasn't it read? Well, if you check your sources, in the market squares in Jerusalem, in that year, Ezra and Nehemiah would chant to all the people who came to the city bringing their produce. Now, I got to San Antonio, and I learned that there's not just Route 1604, but it's like farm to market, right? So that's what they did. They went from their farm to the market squares in Jerusalem, right? And that's where the Torah was heard. It was the first time that the law was democratized. Everyone heard the law. If you showed up, you had access to the law. Now, the cantillation of the Bible is really based in three primary uses. Number one is that it's sung. Now, why is it sung? What does music add to that? Right. Emotion. Passion. God's word was lifted up, right? I know, I saw it in your eyes. You knew the answer. God's word was lifted up and made alive and sing. Right? That's number one. Number two is there's no vowels, there's no punctuation here, right? So the cantillation sign through a family of scribes in the 9th century, Asher ben Asher, they said, wait, we can't have different people parsing the Torah text differently. What was happening? People were understanding the text differently because there was no punctuation. For example, if I say, don't stop it, what does that mean? That means stop it. But if I go, don't stop it, what does that mean? Keep going. The same three words, depending upon where we stopped, has an entirely opposite meaning, right? So this family of scribes said, enough of the different versions of the Torah. They said it with a Brooklyn accent. Enough already. Enough. So they codified the text. And these signs, these symbols, right, which were originally hand signs. Did you know that? There was a person sitting next to the Torah reader, and that person would tell the reader through the high and low of the shape of the hands how to interpret it. So number one, music, which we all know, giving emotion and life. Number two, punctuation. And now accent. Let's talk about accent. What is my name? Well, that's not my name. Full name. Cantor Cohen. How many syllables does Cantor have? 2. How many syllables does Cohen have? 2. Which syllable in the word cantor gets stressed? The first or the second? The first. What about the word Cohen? What is that? The first. Now, if someone said Cantor Cohen, did that sound right? No. My name is? Now really stress the first syllable. Cantor Cohen. Now do it the wrong way. Cantor. That's right. And if you call me that, I'll still acknowledge it. But I'll be saying you've got the accent on the wrong syllable, right? The accent on the wrong syllable.
I got it.
And so,
I got it.
the purpose of these cantillation signs is to teach us how to pronounce the words correctly. So, let's review. Number one, the signs teach us the ancient melody which help us find the pattern in the word. Number two, punctuation.
Out of the way.
To help us understand where to pause and make sense. And number three, and thankfully we found it, number three is the accent, where we stress the words to make sense of how we pronounce them. There'll be a quiz after services, and I look forward to seeing you then to discuss a little more. And by the way, there's one other piece I just want to throw out there. Every book of the Bible that's read publicly is not read. It's what? It's chanted. Our people understood the power of music in prayer. Hence, a cantor. 6 different books of the Bible, each with their own unique melody. And it's the beauty of the holidays coming up that there's this new melody for the chanting of Torah, which is quite different and quite majestic. And why is it majestic? What's the main theme of Rosh Hashanah? God is king. We can feel it in the kingship of God. And I have 2 Torah readers here who I'm not going to put on the spot and ask them to chant, but if you tune in about 3 weeks, you'll be able to hear them chant this beautiful, majestic melody.
Wonderful. Shkach. If you want to teach about Ptucha and Stuma next time, one of the reasons it's hard to find this portion is because there are little chunks, and it's the way that it's written. When we lift it up, if we get a chance, you'll see there are breaks in between the lines, and they're kind of hard to, sometimes it's easier to find in a long column where there's just a break as opposed to little chunks back and forth. If you see in the Chumash, there's little samichs and little pays at the end of paragraphs, and they kind of tell you how it's paginated basically in the Torah, if that's the right word to use. So, okay, well now we're going to learn a little bit of Torah. So take a seat for just a second because I want to play a numbers game. Now that we learned about how to chant it, let's make sure we know what we're chanting about. So there are how many books of the Torah? How many books of the Torah? 5, right? 5 books of the Torah. Bereshit, Shmot, Vayikra, Bamidbar. What's the last one? Deuteronomy, right? Devarim, that's what we're in right now. Remind me, I'll teach you the preschool song. I got the whole Torah in my hands, right? We got the whole Torah with all 5. I'll teach you the song. All right, the Torah is divided up into how many parshiot? How many weekly portions? This is your Jeopardy. I'm auditioning for Jeopardy, by the way. I hear Jewish Jeopardy, yeah. Well, I hear they need a new host, so I'm working on it. Okay, so the Torah is divided up into how many weekly parshiot? 50. Who said 54? Samuel. Do you like a mint or do you like chocolate? Chocolate?
Here, I'll get it.
Here.
I'll give you
I'm not giving one for the first one. That was too easy. Although you deserve one. You want one? Okay, it's okay. All right, now how many of the, are you ready for this? There are how many mitzvot in the Torah, which, not counting the double portions, averages out to about 11.35 mitzvot per week. No, I did not do the math. I'm sorry. I took it from somewhere else. But how many mitzvot are in the Torah, technically, according to the rabbis? Thank you. I know a lot of you knew that, but Max is like chocolate or mint? Oh, I knew that because I've studied with you, and he's an always chocolate guy, which is why we get along. Thank you so much. Okay, so not counting the double portions, when we take two portions and put them together, which we often do to make it work out to 54 weekly parshiot, that averages out to about 11.35 mitzvot per week. And those of you who've been in the Torah study class, you know that whenever I have the statistics, I try to give you how many mitzvot are in the portion for the week, right? So then comes the Torah reading of Ki Teitzei, which we studied today, and it completely ruins our mean or average or whatever word you want to use for, the average, right? Completely ruins it, because in Ki Teitzei, now here's your this is your final Jeopardy answer. How many mitzvot do we find in this portion? And don't read it from the book. If you read it from the book, you get no Hershey Kiss. Sorry. That's cheating. Anybody know? There's a debate, actually, but who said that? Craig? Chocolate or mint? No, you got to get one. All right, give him mint. We haven't given any mints out. They're fun. Thank you. Sorry. 72. We find 72 mitzvot, although some commentators will count only 70. So if you were shouted out 70, I would have given you a mint too. Okay? 72. But again, some commentators count 70. Why does 72 sound better? Think about the numbers. Okay, nice, but there's a different reason. Think Jewishly. There you go. Multiples of 18. 18 is high, right? In our Jewish tree. Mindy did you get that? Chocolate or mint? Oh, chocolate. I love the chocolate. I'm with you. Here you go. You didn't know you were getting, I'm not going to throw it at you. You didn't know you were getting your, Phil was getting his workout today. You didn't know that. Should have worn the sneakers. I'll let you know next time. Okay, so 72 or 70. Double chai. 72 is double chai. Sounds really good if you say that. So they kind of split things and say, okay, there's 72. Quadruple, right, 72, right? So it's multiples of 18 gives you 72. So that works out to be nearly 12% of all of the mitzvot in the Torah are in this portion alone. Right? Nearly 12%. Now we just said 11.35 mitzvot, but this one has 72. So that's about 12% of all of the mitzvot we find in the Torah are in this portion alone. So we might say that if we did all of the mitzvot just in this one Torah reading, then we really shouldn't worry about the remainder of the year, right? The pews should be packed today. This is it right here. You get all of these 72 of them today, and you're done for the year, right? 72 is a lot, and we should all think that we could do that many of them. Well, Ki Teitzei is one of my favorite in the Torah, because most of these 72 laws are designed to convey the basic values of human decency and kindness. It's really what these are about. These laws include the exemption from war for soldiers who are recently married. Think about it, right? You're recently married, the last thing you want to do is go out to war, even get perhaps lose your life, but you're out. Are you really going to be a good soldier when you just left your bride at the altar, basically? No. So sensitivity to relationships, to emotions, and certainly for building a home, right? We haven't even established a home together, and now what's my bride going to do? The fair treatment of workers, we see laws related to that. And they include the caution not to take advantage of the poor, the orphan, and the widow. We see instructions about returning lost objects, Hashavat Aveda, to our owners. So if you find even an animal, a dog or something sitting outside, you found my earring out here, you're reliable. You're required, according to the Torah, to try your best effort to find the owner of that lost object. And certainly that's an act of generosity and an act of respect for property. The portion also includes mitzvot, which teach us to be sensitive to animals. That's one reason I love this portion as well, because it includes some instructions, for instance, not taking the eggs from a nest with the mother present, right? Don't go and say, oh, I'm just going to take that. Now, we're not talking about, I know, hens and chickens and things, but you're going into natural environment and you're going to go and take the eggs of the mother bird who's sitting on them at that moment. Torah says can't do it, right? You can't muzzle an ox so that it cannot graze while it works. Can't do that. Got to allow it to be able to get to the grass when it needs to eat. Those are just examples of ones that we deal with animals. More than any other parasha, Kitetse can nearly stand alone as the building blocks for a better society, teaching us how to be moral and ethical human beings, reflecting the image of God in which we are created. That's one of the reasons, again, I love this parasha. It just really, and if you want to stay after, do a little Torah study with me today, even though we're not eating, let's do it, because we've got some cool stuff to look at that pertains to exactly what we're seeing going around in our world today, and that we've seen for a while, actually, in terms of personal responsibility. We'll leave it at that. At the very end of the portion, and we're going to read this today, the Maftir reading seems to come out of nowhere. It concludes this full portion of Kitetse. We're presented with one mitzvah that seems to stand contrary to the constructive nature of the ones that we see prior to it in the portion. So it reads like this, and you'll hear it in its original as we get to the Maftir. Zachor et asher asa lecha Amalek. Remember what Amalek did to you on your journey. Asher korcha baderech. How it surprised you on the march out of Egypt, when you were famished and weary, and cut down all the stragglers in your rear. Therefore, you shall blot out the memory of Amalek forever. Lo tishkach. Do not forget to do this mitzvah. Now, rarely does the Torah use such strong language to emphasize a mitzvah. Zachor, remember. There's the command. Do not forget. And throughout the centuries, commentators have tried to identify the nation known as Amalek. What is this mitzvah talking about? Who's Amalek? What are we talking about? What is it? Why is this so important? It ends this portion. It's very forceful. And while tradition connects this nation to the evil Haman from the Purim story, among others, it's clear that our sages recognize that Amalek is not necessarily an individual nor a nation per se today for us, but an ideology. And as one of my colleagues calls it, Amalekism, right? Or Amalekism. If you remember, Amalek was the nation that as the Jews were leaving, they were escaping Egypt, they were escaping to freedom. Amalek attacked the rear, attacked the widow and the orphan and the weak and the infirmed at the back. They didn't engage the strength of the soldiers who are up the front. They chose to come around the back, wipe out the weak and the innocent as the Israelites moved through. So that is understood as, again, one of the most heinous things you can do to attack the undefended, if you will. So Jewish tradition, as a rule, calls for us to create a world in which we as individuals and nations respect one another, a world in which we do the work of creation, not destruction, of working together as partners with God to care for those in need, to do things like cure diseases, work together to get rid of COVID, to prevent homelessness, to feed the hungry. Amalek in our tradition is not, again, a people anymore. It's not about trying to find the descendants, right? Who are those people of those terrible ancestors who attacked us that we read about in the Torah? Amalek has become the antithesis of that concept of the sitra achra, the other side, which pushes its own needs above all others, approaching life with cynicism, lack of compassion, and coldness. So in other words, Amalek becomes the epitome of those qualities that we strive to fight against. The Torah tells us that Amalek, Asher Korcha Baderech, generally translated as surprised you on the way out of Egypt, it has a different meaning. The 20th century Torah scholar Pinchas Peli derives the word korcha from an alternative Hebrew root kar. Anybody know that word? Karli, right? I'm going to put a sweater on or a jacket. I'm cold. Kar also has the root of meaning cold. So the sin of Amalek is that, according to Pinchas Peli, that Amalek cooled Israel. Okay, what does that mean? Well, it cooled their understanding and their enthusiasm for freedom on the way out of Egypt. To put it in a more colloquial form, Amalek poured cold water on the fire of enthusiasm and faith that was generated by Israel and in its miraculous deliverance from Egypt. So it follows very well that Israel had just journeyed out of Egypt amidst all these spectacular miracles. The echoes of freedom and faith could be still heard. Tales of this small nation winning over the great Egypt, the great enslaving superpower of the world. Here they are, this small group, they come out. And then along comes Amalek with its brutal cynicism, with its hatred, with its lack of compassion, and the promise of a new world has been broken. That's the rabbi's take. It makes sense. What happens with the rest of the Israelites' journey? Those of you who've been studying again with our Torah study, what do we know happens? What do they do all the time? Complain. Thank you. They're mired in complaint and discontent and even rebellion. Korach, right? Come with me, don't listen to Moses. The earth had to swallow them all up. So it was outright rebellion against Moses and God. So we know that that attack by Amalek, according to our tradition, had a very profound effect upon us. So how do we understand this charge today? Zachor, don't forget. Remember. Well, with the Torah and I think its commentaries in mind, Amalek rears its ugly head anytime someone undermines the enthusiastic spirit we have to litaken olam, to fix the world, to make the world a better place for every individual and all of our nations. Amalek is there whenever others cast aspersions or doubts or try to convince us that we can't dream and work for a better society. Putting that cold water on, what are you doing? You can't make a difference. Forget it. Don't do it. Don't help. It doesn't help. Don't bother. It's the world's the way it is. Forget it. Right? Amalek is there when people are treated with contempt or they're simply ignored. And certainly Amalek's ugly head stares at us in the face when people threaten the health or the well-being of others, when dignity and civility is replaced by vitriol, and whenever people succeed in breaking our faith and our trust in one another and supplanting our ability to hope for the future. So in the end, the mitzvah to blot out the memory of Amalek is actually a very important mitzvah. Even it's the last one at the end. But it's actually one that's very positive in tone. Yes, it sounds negative. But we have the responsibility, the imperative, to remember, to watch out for Amalek, to not let Amalek get a hold of who we are, of who our society is, whenever, wherever, and whatever form it appears, so that nothing can block our way of making the world better, of achieving our dreams, of entering our promised land, if you will. I think we're living in a time now when we see the strength of Amalek in our world dominating sometimes. And I think the Torah's call to us is very important. That short little maftir that we might say, it's the end of the Torah reading. What do we care about Amalek from way back? We're free now, right? I think it's one that we have to listen to really well and continue to heed. Because the destructive spirit of Amalek, whether it be an individual or organization or a nation, can't be allowed to prevail over the efforts we have to make a better world for all of us. So keep that in mind as we read this maftir today. Again, it is a well-known maftir, and we see it, we will read it again when we celebrate the holiday of Purim. It is the maftir that is always read around Purim time, so we will see it again in its context historically as Amalek, remember, is connected to the Haman. So think about the Hamans of the world today, not just dictators, but the values that Haman held, and what we need to do to remember, never forget, we have the charge to continue to work against it. So we're going to begin our Torah reading on page 1123, chapter 23, verse 8. If you have a flyer, a handout, you'll see the page numbers with it. We're going to begin as we talk about some of these other little laws, and you will see the very beginning talks about don't hate other people who are different than us. Perfect message to begin with. Because when we do fight against Amalek, we don't do it in the same vein that is fought against us. We do it in the vein of love and kindness and of striving to make the world better. The seed is not of hate or of dislike or of disrespect. It's quite the opposite. So page 1123, verse 8.
Yazor Yavdeno Shiala Simbo Ben Omar Amen.
Amen.
Akol Duko Del Elohenu Duko Torah Ta'amod Kohen Ben Kom Orosh Shenotam Torah Yamo Yisrael Bekdu Shoto
V'yatem hadvikim baranai Elohechem Chayim kulchem hayom
For the first Aliyah, we call Judge Marcia Weiner. There we go. And again, as was said, the first over reading is on page 1123, chapter 23, verse 8.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher B'Karbonu Mikol Ha'amim V'natan Lanu Et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen. Amen. Lo tita'e v'adomi ki achicha hu. Lo tita'e mitzri ki ger hayita be'artso. Anim asher yivaldu lahem dor shlishi. Yavo lahem bikal Adonai. Ki tetzei machanehem a'oivecha. V'nishmarta mikol davar ra. Ki yevecha ish asher lo yihye tahor mikre laila ve'yatza el michutz lamachane lo yavo el toch hamachane ve'haya lifnot erev yirchatz b'mayim uchavo Hashemesh yavo el toch hamachaneh.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher Natan Lanu Torah Emet V'Chayei Olam Natan B'Yoteinu. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen.
Joshua Koach. For the second Aliyah, we call Jill Himmelstein, Max Himmelstein. Yahweh Sheni.
So the second aliyah, you're going to see directions for maintaining moral and physical cleanliness. So again, the mitzvot are not just about doing right and wrong, of course, but in the ancient mind especially, dealing with a level of holiness. It's kedusha. It's how do we become holy. So we're on 1124, verse 13. nice yod right there.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach.
Baruch Adonai.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach. Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher b'arba mikol ha'amim. V'natanu et Torato. Baruch Adonai notei haTorah.
Amen. V'yatihye elecha michutz lamachane. V'yatzata shama chutz. V'yated tihye lecha al azenecha. V'haya b'shivtecha chutz. V'chafarta v'yashavta v'chasita et seatecha. Ki Adonai Elohecha mitalech b'kerev machanecha lahatilcha v'latet oivecha lefanecha v'haya machanecha kadosh v'lo yireh v'cha ervat davar v'shaf me'acharecha.
Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher natan lanu Torah v'hayei olam natan b'toheinu. Baruch Adonai notei haTorah.
Amen. Shabbat Shalom. Mazel tov. Good practice.
So how do we treat those who have escaped the horrors of oppression and slavery? This is a pretty pertinent question if you see what's going on in Afghanistan. In the Shlishi Aliyah, we learned that under no circumstances should we aid in returning the slave to his or her master or the oppressed to his or her oppressor. And at the same time, we're not to remain aloof to the challenges that newfound freedom will bring to those oppressed. The text is going to tell us in this Aliyah, we see, the freed slave shall live with you in any place he or she may choose among your settlements, wherever the freed slave desires. Right? So think about what that's talking about. It seems to imply that we are required to give an ex-slave anything he or she desires, regardless of how it might impact our own well-being, our financial stability. Of course, that's unreasonable to expect someone to simply hand over the choicest land, possessions, or home to a stranger, right? Oh, I have a big mansion. Sure, go ahead. You can come live here, right? Here, I'll move out. Not what it's saying. Can't be literal about it. The 13th century commentator Chizkuni understands the phrase, which the Hebrew was bamakom asher yivchar, in any place he or she may choose, to mean bamakom sheparnas to yotzeit, a place in which he or she may successfully earn a living. In other words, qualify, what is it talking about? Where he or she may choose to earn, to become, to have a living, right? So we're not asked to give up our wealth and our possessions. Rather, we're asked to help those in need find the means to take care of themselves. We have to give them the basic tools that are needed to build a successful life and to provide the settling and the resources that will allow them to enjoy the same freedom and comfort for which we have been blessed. We've seen this principle in action in the Aliyah movement in Israel, in the movement to resettle Russian Jews years and years ago, certainly in when we look at migrants, when we look at people who are immigrating, and certainly how appropriate when we see what's going on in Afghanistan. I know even here in our own community, the Interfaith Alliance Group is busy working on trying to help all of us in the religious community, help Afghani refugees who we expect to come, they're waiting. They already know they're in Fort Lee. They've got to be resettled. These are translators and people who helped our service people while they were there that are already in country and need a place to be. So we'll hopefully talk more about that at some point as a congregation as we get more information on how we might be able to help. But this is the seed of that mitzvah of helping. So page 1124, we're going to be on verse 16, as you'll hear these words on our responsibility to those who are refugees in need.
The third over we call Karen Rabinowitz Landis.
20 years ago.
Ma'amo Shalishi.
Atara.
Karan Atara Bat
Tvido.
Svido. What's your mom's name?
Bias.
The Miriam.
Meir.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Olam Vaed.
Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato, Baruch atah Adonai, v'noten
I'm
haTorah.
Amen.
not sure where it fell off to.
Low test.
No, I got this. You might have to find it. Oh, you found it. Awesome. Amen. V'lo taskir eved el Adonav, asher yinatzel elecha me'im Adonav, imecha yeshev b'kirbecha, b'makom asher yivchar, be'achad she'arecha batov lo tonenu, lo tihiyeh kadesha mibnot Yisrael, v'lo yiyeh kadesh mibnei Yisrael, lo tavi etnan zona chir kelev, v'heit Adonai Elohecha l'chol neder, ki toavat Adonai Elohecha gam sheneihem.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'hayei olam nata b'tocheinu, Baruch atah Adonai, v'noten haTorah.
Amen. We pause for our Mishaberach for Cholim, for those who are ill. Mishaberach avotenu v'imotenu Avraham Yitzchak v'Yaakov Sarah Rivka Rachel Leah Yivarech v'yapeh kol hacholim. Adam ben Sarah, Elisha bat Devorah, Elisa bat Masha Me'era, Ariel David ben Sarah, Aviva Rachel bat Avraham V'Tova, Bachman Yehoshua ben Chanabatya, Bela bat Sura, Baruch Me'er Chaim ben Leah, Batya Leah bat Esther, Bela bat Shira, Bela bat Malka, Bela bat Rivka, Binyamin ben Chana, Bracha Yael bat Malka Esther, Chaim ben Bela, Chaim Shmuel ben Leah Yocheved, Chana bat Ruth, Chana bat Yehuda, Charna Ita bat Miriam, Chaya bat Mina, Daniel ben Sarah, David Chaim ben Tzipora, Eitan ben Dina, Elisheva bat Devorah, Esther Kala bat Chana, Esther Razel bat Chaya Uzalman, Esther Rivka bat Devorah, Fagel Esther bat Rachel, Fagi Riva bat Basha, Feivel ben Rachel, Friedel bat Moshe, Adasa bat Realea, Hinda bat Chava, Leah bat Yehuda, Leah Rivka bat Miriam, Liva Devorah bat Miriam, Malachi ben Sarah, Malka Sima bat Elka, Malka bat Sarah, Malka bat Zev, Masha bat Zisamarel, Me'era Leah bat Tzipora, Michael David ben Rachel, Miriam bat Bela, Miriam bat Bracha, Moshe ben Yeta, Moshe ben Israel bat Chaya, Moshe Katzriel ben Chana, Mordechai ben Yehudit Chaya, Nachum ben Tovia, Nachoma bat Yaakov, Noach ben Dina, Perel bat Tama, Pinchas Velva ben Leah, Rachel bat Devorah, Rachel bat Yehuda Chaya, Raphael ben Wolf, Rufuel Meir ben Nechama, Ruvain ben Peretz, Ruvain Simcha ben Miral, Rivka Rachel bat Esther Razel, Rivka bat Rosa, Shendel bat Golda, Shimon ben Chana, Shlomo ben Lazer, Shmuel bat Chaim ben Yaakova, Shoshana bat Michal, Shoshana bat Pearl, Tova bat Sarah, Tzipora bat Michal, Tzipora bat Sarah, Yaakov ben Nechama, Yechezkel ben Sarah, Yehudit Golda bat Elka, Yisrael ben Sarah, Yoel ben Yosef, Yosef Chaim ben Avraham v'Sara, Yosef ben Avraham v'Sara, Ze'eb Shaul ben Chaya, Tzivia Miriam bat Abigail Batya. Alan Goldberg, Amber France, Ann Francis, Anna Silver, Arnold Gorelek, Avram Glasner, Bob Schiffman, Bob Stewart, Carolyn Devon, Daniela Valdez Vasquez, David Siegel, Don Alexander, Debbie Danforth, Donna Link Strickland, Les Feldman, Eddie Halfant, Eileen Marin, Elaine Munoz, Elna King, Esther Magir, Gabriel Joseph Braun, Garney Griggs, Gary Rosenthal, Ginger Miniman Sledge, Gregory Seelig, Howard Aaron, Jeanette Cobb, Jill Testa, Judy Stewart, Kimberly Lang, Lily Williams, Louis Navis, Maria Beck, Marion Braun, Margot Adams, Mark Hermelin, Mia Castro, Michael Hardy, Monte Arthur Elliott, Nehemiah Levin, Patsy Friedler Cantor, Patty Pillay, Hino Reynoso Jr., Ruvain Klein, Robert Cover, Robert Teplitz, Ron Gelberg, Roselle Simon Lebo, Rosaria Vasquez, Sarah Ibarra, Sharon Abelo, Sharon Bowling, Sharon Hermelin, Stephen Schnitzer, Steve Cohen, Suzanne Mendlovitz, and Tristan France. To all names we recite aloud or within ourselves at this moment. HaKadosh Yimolei Rachamim Alehem Melach Yizikam Rapotam V'yishlach Lahem Meherat Refuah Shlema L'chorehem V'gidehem B'toch Shar Cholei Yisrael Refuat HaNefesh Refuat HaGuf V'nomar Amen. May God who blessed our ancestors Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah grant the blessing of healing and health to all whose names we recite it aloud or have in our hearts at this moment. May God be with them and with those who care for them. May the Holy One strengthen them and bring them healing of body and soul, together with all others who are ill, whether in the hospital or at home. And together we say,
Amen.
Amen. The fourth aliyah, you will find in just a moment, sets up the guidelines regarding the lending of money. Told you there were all kinds of things in this parasha. This now shifts our focus to the lending of money. As the Israelites were instructed not to charge and collect neshech, interest, on a loan made to one's fellow Jew. The prohibition against neshech included collecting money, food, or any other item from the borrower in addition to the loan payment. So if you're loaning somebody in the community, you weren't to ask for payment for extra back, but it was understood to apply only to loans that were made for charitable causes. Right? So if you're taking a loan to buy your house, that's different. If you're taking a loan to help the local food bank, that's a different thing. So loans made for businesses or commercial property, or purposes rather, were not exempt from neshech. The word neshech, anybody recognize that word? If you have good Hebrew, nashach, right? It's nashach actually means to bite. Interesting, right? So the word, when you think about it, means to bite. So charging interest to one who needs a loan to cover his or her basic needs, right? I need a loan to pay for my food or my clothing or my shelter or my health. That's like taking a bite out of a person. And not only financially, of course, but up here psychologically as well. So this is the message. I told you there's brilliant things in this parasha. This one certainly is one that can help us guide our behavior in today's world. So 11:25, verse 20 is the fourth aliyah.
Namod, we call Michael Heisman, Elizabeth Glazier, and family for the fourth aliyah.
Where are we at? Let me have my list, please. Thank you so
And
much.
again, we are on page 1125, verse 20.
You guys want to hold it? You guys can follow. Whenever you want to follow. Baruch Adonai Barach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Habarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher batar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai
One of them might want to hold it and follow. Amen. You guys want to follow?
Try to point.
You guys want to do it? Point and follow? All right, well, now I'm going to make sure where we're at.
Starting right there. You just slide it over there.
Amen. Lo tashich le'achicha neshech kesef neshech ochel neshech kol davar asher yishach lenochri tashich ulachicha lo tashich leman yivarechecha Adonai Elohecha Bechol tishlach yadecha al haaretz asher ata vashama l'rishta ki tidor neder ladonai Elohecha lo ta'acher lishalmo ki darosh yidrishenu Adonai Elohecha me'imach v'hayavecha chet V'chi techdal lindor lo yihye v'cha chet motza sifatecha tishmor ve'asita ka'asher nadarta l'Adonai Elohecha nadava asher dibarta beficha. Good job. Yeah, he knows his stuff.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nata b'tohenu. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Torah.
Amen. We rise for Chatzi Kaddish as we complete our cycle of reading. And if you notice the words, you heard a lot of words of chait. Chait is a word we're hearing a lot about as we get ready for the high holidays, right? A mistake, a sin, a missing of the mark. And you hear the word neder. There's a lot about nedarim, about vows in that one aliyah. We, again, have Chatzi Kaddish.
Yitkada v'yitkada shemei rabba.
Amen.
B'yama divra kirtei b'yamich mahutei. B'hayehonu yomeho. Uvayedecho beit Yisrael. Bahagala. Uvizman karim v'yimeru. Amen. Yeheshmei rabba mevora. Leolam olam leomaya. Yitbara v'yistabach. V'bar v'troman v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitale v'yitala. Shemei dekudesha. Le'kol. Leila mikol berhata v'shirata. Tush behata v'nehemata. Damira me'alma v'meru.
Amen.
You may be seated. Take one for your brother. Good job. Oh no, man, he's good. You gotta get him going. He's back from camp. He's ready to work. Well, we're ready to put him to work. I don't know which. All right, so for this next aliyah, we're finishing the full portion. This was the charge to remember Amalek. We'll be on 1135, verse 17. Ya'amod Tzvi Dov ben Aaron Shlomo V'chaya Sarah Hamaftir. I love it when we get both. All right, we got to roll to it though. Hold a second, unless you rolled already. Oh, right here. A little easy to find.
Baruch Adonai Baruch.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Vahed.
Adonai Baruch Le'olam Vahed.
Let me make sure I know what I'm doing.
Eloheinu melech haolam.
Try to read it.
Asher bochar bonu mikol hamim v'nasa lanu es tavso. Baruch atah Adonai notein haTorah. Amen.
Amen. Ready? Amen. Zachor et asher asa lecha Amalek baderech v'tzeichem miMitzrayim. Asher korcha baderech v'yizanev b'cha kohanecha shalim acharecha. V'ata ayef v'yagea v'lo yira korcha baderech. V'yizanev b'cha v'haya. Vayizane becha kohanecha shalim acharecha v'yata yefi yagev v'lo yira Elohim v'haya v'chani Adonai Elohecha lecha mikol oivecha bisaviv ba'aretz asher Adonai Elohecha noten lecha nachala l'rishta hama. Timcha et nezeher Amalek mitachat hashamayim lo tishkach. Challenges my reading skills.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher nasa lanu Torah emes v'chayei olam notav Eloheinu. Baruch atah Adonai notein haTorah.
Amen. We rise for the lifting and tying of the Sefer Torah. And again, as Cameron lifts it, I know you're good at widening it. You can see, look for the white spaces in between the verses. You'll see how it is put into the form and how it is in chunks. You can see how these individual mitzvot are laid out.
וזאת התורה אשר שם משה לפני בני ישראל על פי אדוני ביד משה. תורה, 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 ציווה לנו משה. תורה, 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 ציווה לנו משה. Torah, 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 ציווה לנו משה. Torah, 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 ציווה לנו משה. על שלושה דברים, על שלושה דברים, על שלושה דברים העולם עומד. על שלושה דברים, על שלושה דברים, על שלושה דברים העולם עומד.
You may be seated. So the Haftarah for Kiteitzei, if you've been here the last few weeks, you know it's taken from the words of Deutero-Isaiah. All of these portions have been coming from Isaiah. And it's number, okay, Karen, don't get scared yet. It's number 5 in the series of how many? 7 Haftarot of consolation that we read between Tisha B'Av and Rosh Hashanah. So we have been reading one of these special Haftarot each week from 7 weeks, right? From Tisha B'Av and Rosh Hashanah, and now we're on 5. And what does that mean? That means the holidays are quickly coming, and I don't know about you, but are you ready? We're not ready yet.
Born ready.
You were born ready. Okay. Well, I will admit I have a few talks left to write, so it's okay. But as each week passes, the prophet's message has become increasingly more positive in tone, as destruction and exile are replaced with thoughts of renewal and creation. We're moving from destruction of Tisha B'Av up to the renewal and creation of the new year of Rosh Hashanah. So the Haftarah begins with the words, sing, be joyful, reminds the captives of Babylon to focus on the future toward the day when they will return home to build life anew. It is a very short Haftarah. It is, I think, the shortest, if not one of the, I think it's the shortest one of the year. If not one of the shortest ones of the year, by a verse or two. But following the introductory bracha, you'll find the Haftarah in 1138. It packs a punch in terms of its themes, even though it is short in its nature. And you will hear some of this language because this is the Haftarah we also recite when it is Rosh Chodesh. So some of this part of this will be familiar when it's Rosh Chodesh. We have a second part that continues onward. This is just that one part of it. You'll find it in the context of Kiteitzei. 1138.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech olam asher bohar b'nevim tovim v'ratzah v'devarim v'tamarim bo'emet. Baruch atah Adonai aboher b'torah u'Moshe avdo u'ven Yisrael amo u'ven v'yeho emet v'tzedek. Rani akora lo yoloida Pitzirino v'tzalilo ki rabim b'nei shavomemo mibnei v'ula omar Adonai harhivi mikom ole v'riod mishkanotayit yitu El Tatasoi Ha'arihi Me Torai Uftedo Tai Azaki, Ki Amin Usmor Tifroti, V'Zenohim Yirosh, Yorim Neshamot Yishivu, Al Tiri Kilo Tavoshi, Yalti call me Milo Takpiri, Ki Veshe Alamaye, Tish Kohi Veapad Al Nunutayik, Velo Tiscario, Ki O Alayik, O Sayik, Adonai Tzevo Chimo, V'goale Kidosh Yisrael, Elohei Haaretz Yikareim, Ki Tikisho Azuva, V'atirat Ruach Korov Adonai, V'yashei Niurim, Ki Timoim Omar Elohoi, V'rega Koto Azvuti Uvrachamin Gedolim Akabse, V'sheshet Kitzev Aspatki Parad Panai Rega Mimei Uvhesed Olam Vachamti Omar Goale Adonai, Kime Nozot Li Asher Nishpati, Me Avod Me Noad El Horet Kain Nishpati, Mikto Folayet Umidor Bob, Ki Hecharim Yemushu, V'hadvot Timukteino, V'hasdi, Meite Lo Yamud, Uvarich Lo Shimi Lo Talmud, Omar Mirachame Adonai Adonai. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech olam tzur kol olamim sadik b'chol adorot ha'el hanemon v'yomer v'yosei amaraber u'mekayem shekol devoro emed v'or tzedek nemon atahu Adonai Eloheinu v'nemonim devorecha v'dovorecha midvorecha ohod lo yoshuv rekom ki el melech nemon v'rachamov oto baruch atah Adonai ha'el hanemon v'chol devoro Rachem al Tzion ki viveit ayenu v'la'aluvos nefesh toshia b'meira v'yamenu baruch atah Adonai mesamei Tzion b'vonecha Samheinu Adonai Eloheinu v'alehu anogi avdecha v'amu beit David Mashiach b'meira yavo v'yogel libenu Al kiso yolo yeshev zor v'lo yinalu et ahirim et kavodo ki v'shem kachaha neshbatolo shelo yikben erol yolam voyet baruch atah Adonai mogen David Al Torah v'al avodah v'al hanvim v'al yom hashabbat hazeh Shenatato lanu Adonai Eloheinu l'kdusha v'limnuha lehavod u'tifaret al hakol Adonai Eloheinu anaknu modim lo muvorim oto yishbato lo b'fi kol hay tamid l'olam voyet baruch atah Adonai mekadesh ha'shabbat. Amen.
Beautiful job. Beautiful.
Rabbi, is that fair giving him 2 for doing the Haftorah? 2 sweets? That is really nice.
Let me just say he doesn't deserve 2, but he also stood up here and got one.
That's true.
I think that's worth 2 pieces.
I think easily 2.
I think so too. I'm with you. You want the whole box? You know what? I'm very generous today. All right. Well, don't worry. We'll save some for the end. Well, everybody can take one as they walk out today, right? That's your oneg. Sorry, not much, but so we move forward in our Siddur, in our Torah service to the prayer for our country on page 177. I'm not sure who. Wonderful. Bruce is coming up. Page 177, you'll find the prayer for our country. As always, it is important we add our tefillot, our prayers for certainly our country and for the state of Israel as we seek the peace that we work so hard for. So 177.
Our God and God of our ancestors, with mercy accept our prayer on behalf of our country and its government. Pour out your blessing upon this land, upon its inhabitants, upon its leaders, its judges, its officers, and officials who faithfully devote themselves to the need of the public. Help them understand the rules of justice you have decreed, so the peace and security, happiness and freedom will never depart from our land.
We read, Adonai, God, whose spirit is in all creatures, we pray that your spirit be awakened within all the inhabitants of our land. Uproot from our hearts hatred and malice, jealousy and strife. Plant love and companionship, peace and friendship among the many peoples and faiths who dwell in our nation. Grant us the knowledge to judge justly, the wisdom to act with compassion, and the understanding and courage to root out poverty from our land.
May it be your will that our land be a blessing to all who dwell on earth, and may you cause all peoples to dwell in friendship and freedom. Speedily fulfill the vision of your prophets. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. For all of them, from the least of them to the greatest, shall know me, and let us say, Amen.
Page 178, you'll find the prayer for the state of Israel as we follow along. 178 at the top.
Avinu Shemayim, stronghold and redeemer of people Israel, bless the state of Israel, that it may be the beginning of our redemption. Shield it with your love, spread it over the shelter of your peace. Guide its leaders and advisors with your light and your truth. Help them with your good counsel. Strengthen the hands of those who defend our holy land. Deliver them, crown their efforts with triumph. Bless the land with peace and its inhabitants with lasting joy. And let us say, Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Yishkoach.
Shabbat shalom.
Page 181, you'll find Ashrei. As we go into the concluding part of our Torah service, we like to get up our pre- and post-B'nai Mitzvah who were up here earlier. You'll come on up. Come on, Matthew. You are an Ashrei guy. Yeah, but Tyler, you got to come too. Come on, Max. Where'd he go? All right, well, when he comes back in, we'll grab him. Come on, guys. Sam, you're welcome too if you want. 181, you'll find Ashrei as everyone on the bima helps out. Matthew, you want to get us started? Can you do it? I know you can. That's a silly question. 1, 2, 3. Now just take it away. It'll pick up.
Asher asher b'teha ora lua sela.
Ashrei ham shekachalo. Ashrei ham shadonai Elohim.
Tehila l'David amim Elohai hamelech. Baruch Hashem haleolam va'ed.
Kol yom avar hechad. Yahashim haleolam va'ed.
Gadol Adonai umhula meod. Vidula Toen Haker.
Dor Lador Yeshabach Maasecha, Ugbarotecha Yagidu.
Hadar Kevod Kodeha. Verivani Flota Asiha.
Vezuz Narotecha Yomeru, Ugdalatecha Saprena.
Zehurav Tu Hayabiu. Latik Tatehayu Anenu.
Chanin Barachum Adonai, Erech Apai Mugdal Chased.
Tovaronai Lakov. Hamava Koma Asav. Kavod Mahuta Hayomeru. Udvata Hayidaveru. Mahuta ha mahut kolamim, umem shate ha vehodor vador.
So Mekranoi lecho hanafim, bezo kef lecho hakfifim.
Ene koel hayisaveru, latanoten lahem et ochlam beito. Tzadik Adonai behodor ahaves, ve'asibo homa asav. Etzoni avia asev, et shavatam yishmav yoshim. Tehila Adonai iraber pi, v'reko vasar shem kochole elam va'ed, banav minervarech ya, me'ata ve'ad olam.
Start the Torah as we return the Torah scroll to the Aron HaKodesh, 183.
Hallelu et Shem Adonai, Yisrael Hashem Shamayim, Vayaren Keren Le'amo, Tehillah Lecho, Asida, Libnei Yisrael, Kerovo. Hallelujah, hallelujah. He's more than David. Avu Adonai Levi. Avu Adonai Kavod Va'oz. Avu Adonai Yod Shemo. Ishtavu Adonai
From the bottom.
Kaddish is closed. We remain standing for our brief Musaf service. We're going to ask Tyler and Max, if you'll stay here on the bima, help us out with Musaf. 184, you'll find Chatzi Kaddish. You guys can grab a piece of candy if you want. Or you guys can stay up and help out too if you want. I'll take both. You'll take both. Excellent. All right, do it. You want to stay up here or going back down either way? Okay. Your choice today. 184, Chatzi Kaddish.
Ramadi Prakirte Vyamlik Mahute Behaye Monubyo Mekon Upaye Deho Be Yisrael Bagala Ubisman Kari Vimeru Amen Yeheshme Rabba Mevora Shabbat Yipar B'Shomam Yinase Yitadar V'Tale V'Tala Shemei Kudisha B'Rihu Le'ela Mikol Birhata V'Shirata Tushbehata V'Nemata Damira Me'alma V'Meru.
Begin the Amidah together, page 185 on the left. 185.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avoteinu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzhak Elohei Yaakov Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rahel Elohei Leah El Hagadol Hagibor V'Hanora El Elyon Gomel Hasadim Tovim V'Konei Hakol V'Chazer Haseavot Livni Goel Mehem Leman Shemo Ve'Ava Melech Shtialu Magin Baruch atah Adonai Avraham Ufokei Sarah Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai V'yeh Meshimatav Le'Hoshia V'Yidata V'Hayel Hayim V'Hesed V'Chayei Metim V'Rahamim Rabim Somech Noflim Berche Holim Umatir Asurim Umekayeh Emunato Lijenei Acha Michamocha Bal Geburot Umidom Elah Melet Memit Umekayeh Umatmiach Yeshua Manata V'Yom Metim Baruch atah Adonai V'Yeh HaMetim. Na'aritzecha v'na'akishecha Ketzotziah Sarvei Kodesh Amakishim Shimha Kodesh Kakatu Ayat Nevi'aka V'Kara Zela Zeveyama Kadosh 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 Adonai Tzevaot Melech ha'aretz Yevodo. Kevodo ma'ale ma'ale olam ha'im nekon kevodo. Kevodo ma'ale v'shar tav shoalim shoalim zela zela ha'im nekon Kom Kevodo. Shartam Shoalim Shoalim Zela Zerayim Kom Kevodo. Matar Baruch Yumiru Baruch Kevodanai Min Komo Komo Chuyife Chuyife Berachami Be'achon Amyam Hadim Shemo Amyam Hadim Shemo Erev Baloker Feroyam Sami Pamayim Pamayim Be'achar Shema Shema Yisrael Yashmienu Beracham Hasheni Le'ene Kohar Le'olah Elohim Divrei Kodesh Hakatu Le'mori Lokana L'olam Ulai Zion Le'vador Hallelujah Vedor Vador Nagi Kolecha Vedor Vador Nagi Kolecha Netzahim Kedushat Hanadis Kedushat Hanadis Veshiva Eloheinu Mibinu Lo Yamush Leolam Leolam Yaheh Vedor Vador Nagi Kolecha Vedor Vador Nagi Kolecha Ki Amelech Gado Gado Vekado Gado Shata Baruch atah Adonai El HaKadosh.
Which one do you say shalom?
Oh, sorry, yeah. Oh, right, 2 of these. I'll do 2 of these. Yeah, sure.
I can't think of
Who could do the fastest Kaddish in the West?
no, but my rule is like, just the words.
I have to say the words. You get out of here soon, right? As soon as the rabbi asks.
You're through. You're welcome to be seated if you wish. We're on page 203, Kaddish Shalem.
Yitkadavi kadashime rabba.
Amen.
Biamadi vakirte biamikmote v'hayonu biamihonu v'hay Jehovah Yisrael b'galavis man karivi meru.
Amen. Yeheshme Rabba Mevorach. Le'olam Lamel Maya.
Yibarach v'shabach yibar v'chomam minaseh yitadar v'taleh v'yal shemen kudusha v'rechu. Le'elam mikol birhata v'shirata tushbehata v'nemata damira ve'oma v'imeru.
Amen.
Titkabach l'tahonu v'tahon de'cho Yisrael v'adam v'ahon dishimai v'imeru.
Amen.
Yeshlam Rabba Mishamaya v'himalem v'kol Yisrael v'imeru.
Amen.
Zeh shalom imama, v'yaseh shalom, aleinu v'kol Yisrael v'imeru.
Amen. If you're standing, you're welcome to be seated. 204, you'll find Ein Keloheinu as all of you on the bima lead us.
Ein Keloheinu, Ein Kadoneinu, Ein Kemalkeinu, Ein Kemoshienu, Mi Keloheinu, Mi Kadoneinu, Mi Kemalkeinu, Mi Kemoshienu, Yodel Eloheinu, Yodel Adoneinu, Yodel Emalkeinu, Yodel Moshienu. Baruch Eloheinu, Baruch Adoneinu, Baruch Malkeinu, Baruch Moshienu. Atahu Eloheinu, Atahu Adoneinu, Atahu Malkeinu, Atahu Moshienu. Atahu Shiktiru, Avoteinu, Lefaneha Ketore Asami.
We rise for Aleinu on page 205.
1, 2, 3.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, v'teiku l'alotzer reshit, shelo asanu k'yei harato, v'lo tamanu k'mishvehot adama, shelo asanu k'yei harato. V'mor aleinu v'chol hamonam, Akmikori, Yushavani, Ludim, Livnei Melech, Malchei Hamamim, Hakadosh Baruch Hu, Shehu Notei Shamayim Be'yosef Haaretz, U'Moshe Zikaro B'Shamayim Ima'o, Ushkina Tuzo, Ushkina Tuzo,
V'gov Hei Meromi.
Eloheinu, Eino, Ememokeinu, Efezulato, Kakatu, Betorato, Idatayom, Idatayom, Hashevota, Elevareha, Yanayu, Elohim, Papa, Shamayim, Mima, Eanaret, Eanaret, Mita, Eno, Eno.
Nakatu b'toratecha.
Naim lo plela ma'ed, Ne'emar, V'haya Adonai l'melech al kol haaretz, Hayom hahu, Yeh Adonai echad, U'shemo,
Shemo Echad. You may be seated. Those of you who want to figure out, don't go away. Don't, no, you're not leaving. You got to help with Adon Olam and Kiddush. So go take a seat, figure out what tune you guys want to do. As we are in the High Holy Day period, of course, just a couple weeks now before we hit the new year, we continue through the month of Elul. We have the custom of adding our special psalm, our 27th Psalm, Le David. You'll find it back on 113. And again, the purpose of the psalm is to remind us of this special period of time that we have to really look inward again so that we can look outward towards a better year ahead. 113, you'll find the psalm. Le David Adonai orishi mimi ira Adonai. אחת שאלתי מאת אדוני אותה בקש, הייתי בביתה מקום מחיי, חזק ונאמן אבקר בהיכלו. אסבך אלוהים. לוליהם אנטיר לראות בטוב אדוני בארץ חיים, קבל אדוני חזק ויאמץ ליבך, וקבל אדוני. We turn back to page 207. There you will find Mourner's Kaddish. As we recite Mourner's Kaddish today, we observe the Yortzites today and in the week is coming of Paul Diamond, Gloria Fivish, Frida Harris-Sater, Annie Jacobs, Anna Kaiser, Sylvia Cantor, Bob Karlbach, Melvin Mackler, John Roach, Minnie Schnitzer, Alice Sorensen, Evelyn Spencer, Nathan Sterenberg, Jonas Steele, Libby Stuhl, and Isidore Moiner. Those reciting the Mourner's Kaddish, you'll find it on page 207. Certainly, if there are any names I did not recite aloud, you are welcome to say them out loud or remind them, keep them in your hearts, certainly. Page 207. Yit Gadal v'yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah, Bi'alma divra chirute v'yamlich malchute, B'chayechon uvyomechon uvchaye dechol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imru. Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabbah mevarach leolam ulomei omaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar, v'yitaleh, v'yitalal, shemei dekudisha, b'richu. La'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran v'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. May be seated. Craig, do you want to do announcements? So we call upon Craig, President of the Board of Trustees. I think Jessica handed you last night, but it never made it back up here. So this is last week's. No, this is last week's, but it hasn't changed a whole lot. So.
Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Good to see everybody here. Thank you, Rabbi and Cantor, for a lovely service. Thank you all for coming on this lovely Shabbat morning. Please join us for morning minyan on weekdays at 7:30 a.m. and on Sundays at 9 a.m. For those who cannot make it in person, we will still be live streaming, although we will not be using Zoom and Facebook. You can live stream from our website and from YouTube. Please turn in your IPRS paperwork. First day of school is Wednesday, August 25th, so check the weekly email for registration forms. If you'd like to be considered for a high holiday honor, such as an aliyah or ark opening or lifting and tying the Torah, please contact Jessica in our office. We continue with our Journey into Judaism class on Wednesday evenings at 7:30 via Zoom. And if you're interested, please contact Rabbi Cohen. And we are updating our Misha Berek list, so please call the office if you have a name of that needs to be taken off the list. We will also be this year asking you to pick up your high holiday tickets. There was a schedule that was published in an email sent to you, and please come to the shul and pick up your tickets during those times. Shabbat Shalom.
Just a word about the journey into Judaism. This I'll get it out on the Tuesday email if you want to join us. This Wednesday, we're going to just be doing some general Rosh Hashanah study, open to everybody. We've been doing this class since January, and we have a number of people about 15 of us that continue throughout the last number of months, and it's certainly open to everybody whenever, but especially this coming Wednesday night, we're going to focus on Rosh Hashanah, which is getting us ready for the new year, of course, and for Yom Kippur and some themes related to that. So anyone who wants to do a little extra learning this week, even if you're not used to coming, wonderful. We'll get you the link. Just let me know. We'll actually try to put it an RSVP so that you can be reminded in Tuesday's email or Wednesday morning's email, but we'll get it out for you. And just remember, and I know that Rabbi Ricky Arad's going to be doing a special program as well on getting ready for the holidays, on spiritually getting ourselves ready, and so that will be in the announcements too. I think you might have seen a hint about it in the Friday message. So there's some opportunities for continuing through the next couple of weeks, getting ourselves ready for the holiday for sure. So I want to thank everybody who participated. Bernie did a beautiful Haftarah, so we thank him for that. And you guys, thanks for helping out with both Torah service and for Musaf. And Matthew, awesome. Ashrei, I want Matthew, if you Sam and Matthew, you come up for the end, so then you could do Kiddush with us. I already poured some grape juice for you. And yeah, you can grab a piece of candy on the way down after you come up, you come back down. But we thank everybody. Yes, we thank everybody who participated. Phil, thanks for helping out, as always, with ushering. Mindy and Barry, both of you guys were ushering in the back today. We had like a plethora of ushers. Wonderful. And so we appreciate, and Phil, thanks for helping out with Torah service as well. Mark Schnall is out of town, and we love the pinch hitting. We had a wonderful celebration last night, so we knew we may be a little thinner in numbers, as a lot of people were here last night instead of this morning, but we're appreciative that you're here, studied some great Torah together, had a wonderful Haftarah, and anytime we can get a bunch of gentlemen on the bima to help lead us, I think we've done pretty well. So. Look, they're taking the candy already. You got to do a little more work first, though. Don't eat it yet. You can't have full mouths while you're singing Adon Olam for us. So, all right, ready? 1, 2, 3, 2, 11. B'terem kol yitzir nivra, v'yed nasa v'hefsal kol azan melech shemoni.
Krave acharei
Kiplotako v'emato imlok nora V'haya v'hu oren V'hu yeh tifara Ein sheni V'hamshilo v'hamira V'lireshi
behind you.
We're already B'nai Mitzvah, the official Kiddush cups. We rise as we turn to page 77, if I'm correct, for Bishamra, as we join together. 1, 2, 3. Vishamru B'nai Yisrael, et HaShabbat, Lasot et HaShabbat, L'Dorot.
Shabbat. Came Barak Adonai et Yom HaShabbat V'kat Shehu Sabriva Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Borei Peri HaAfer.
That's a good year. Probably a good week. All right, we have a little bit of follow-up. So here we go. Can we do a motzi, guys? Short or long? Short. 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 Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Somebody sing Shabbat Shalom. Ready, go.
Shalom.
Hey, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. Hey, Shabbat
Shalom. Hey, Shabbat, 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 Shalom.
Good job. Very nice davening. Beautiful job. Shabbos to you.
I'm going to go up here.
Yes. Hello. Shabbat Shalom.
Nice to have you here.
I'm sure we can find one. Maintenance is here, we can ask them for one. You know, maintenance is here, so let's ask them for one to, they should be in the back, we can get them to help out. Yes?
The flowers are beautiful. I'm taking the big one to my mother.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna see if somebody wants to come tomorrow and take one to Susan Netherlands.
Where is she now? Do you know? Because I'm cold.
I'm gonna send out a message late tonight and see if somebody wants to take her one. Come get it tomorrow. Bella's gonna put them in the refrigerator.
Yeah.
But they shouldn't go to waste, and my mother will love it.
Terrific.
Yeah.
No.
Right? This is very happy for my mother to have.
I would certainly not argue at all. That's wonderful.
Okay, there was a whole pile of bells, and I don't see. I know, it was very blinding last night when they opened the ark with the sun shining.
Yeah, look at that.
Everything was like,
Isn't it shiny?
I know, it was so funny last night that the sun
That
wasn't
one came
coming
out. That one's my favorite. That one came out so clear.
This one's a little smaller to transport. You want the little smaller one. Too small. Here.
These are gorgeous. They're gorgeous. I'll do the small one. That's a good idea.
No, I'm just
They
thinking.
may or not. I mean, I don't know. But if Bella put them in there, they are. They are gorgeous. What's in my car? I'll tell her. It's just too heavy. He'll pick it up. Under the bases.
I don't know what happened to all the loose bells.
You take the flowers out.
I'll just bring the base back.
Oh, listen then, yeah. So do whatever's
He'll
easiest.
take the base.
I don't know what happened to all the loose bells. I'm gonna see if they're all.
Uh-oh. Did you look underneath? I mean, did you look under? Did you look under the Torahs that they were? All right, I'm gonna go do the little teaching. Yeah, I figured you'd find something.
So just the 4?
The bells are missing though. I only can find 2 bells that are loose. And I would thought there was a handful of bells. Oh, there they are. I just found them.
I was gonna say, they're probably
They're right
underneath.
here. Okay. Oh, that was a good idea. Correct. All right, so now we have to see who these belong to.
too. I guess we should worry about those that are there. Does anything look like that? There you go, that's that, we can take that, that's easy. Here's another loose bell. Looks pretty good. Any other little bells? No, this one is good. Okay, it's just that one.
These little things, man, they're nothing.
That's okay. Here, Barry, how about these? There's no place to put them.
Okay.
We're just trying to figure out, these are the bells, we're trying to figure out what they go to.
You know, there were a bunch of bells on the ground
I
last
found them,
week.
right
And
there.
they were on the ground last
They
week.
were right in there, yeah,
Right,
they're
right, right.
these.
So I think
We
really
cleaned
you can just fill them and you can look from the picture. So do we want to get more of these,
I'm just trying to
get them
figure,
all?
we're looking to see what's missing bells, so we can match those bells with whatever I need to take for Rhonda to carry.
Oh.
That's what I'm doing, is I'm looking for what's missing, that's.
Bells. So this doesn't count, does it? This is missing at least one. No, that's a bell. Okay.
Maybe this isn't so serious.
Which is,
Well, that's missing the bell up there.
well, I don't know if this one was supposed to have bells, but it doesn't have any.
See, these just go on these boards, and I think Mark will hopefully fix that next year, but that one up there, I just need someone to help me get it down.
Yep.
See, I can see from here, that one's missing the bell.
Maybe we'll see a lot more
Maybe you
about
need to get the board down. Oh,
There's one. Let's see if we can keep that one low.
it's missing a little one and a big one.
And one more. That's missing one. So let's
Missing
see.
ones now?
They're supposed to have one?
Yes, it does, but that one does.
Right. I don't know.
Okay, so this is missing some.
this looks like these two go with this. That doesn't look for that, right? So does that.
Well, this would be a lot easier to transport than the big things. I thought it was the big crowns, but those look like they've got their bells along the back. Oh, and that has flowers also. Oh, the flowers a little low.
Yeah, it's pretty good fill, that I can see.
Okay.
You take this, I got the
You
total.
sure you got the
I
total?
got the total, yes,
Okay.
ma'am, I got the total.
All right.
No colors fall on my wall.
Okay. All right. And guess what? It didn't come off of this one after all that.
It's
I
okay.
was looking for the flowers because I thought maybe it was on the back.
Okay.
So we could probably put this one back.
Hey, it'd be harder to put back than
Yeah, it
put.
might be easier to just take the.
Yeah, I think you're right, but it's still not.
Maybe we pull this
Hold on,
for,
hold on. That's okay. That's okay. Okay, so which is the front? Here's the front.
Oh, there it is.
There you go. Okay.
Thank you so much.
we're
looks like
okay.
it's leaning.
All right, there are.
All right, I'm gonna say next Saturday when all these come out, if there's anything still broken, then we'll worry about it. I don't know how to find it. What, honey, how much were you gonna say is left?
This stuff's right here. Yeah, probably can use.
One of the little bells? All right, so, first, it's one of the high ones.
Well,
Can
that's
you bring
okay.
that, can you bring the tour down maybe? I don't know how you get the breastplate off top of the tour. So you're getting your work out. So, pull this off. Okay, now pull the breastplate off. Okay, while this is down, let's see if it looks, oh, I found the flower.
Awesome. Now we're gonna put the back on, back up, or we're gonna leave it down?
Well, I'm gonna take this to Rhonda.
Then I'm gonna put this back up.
But this flower doesn't look quite the same. I might be able to do this on my own. This doesn't have to go to Rhonda. Well, we can leave this, I guess we can leave it down. Huh,
You're gonna
maybe
be
it
able to
does.
remember what things from this? No.
Yeah, I have pictures.
You guys are so devoted.
You guys are like being too wonderful. Setting up this stuff, huh?
Well, we're trying to get this stuff.
Sir,
Go up.
thank you, thank you. I will get better at,
So what?
get formal.
This is the right flower.
No,
This isn't the right flower. Phil, this isn't the right
Show
flower.
me.
Yeah, it doesn't look like the other ones. So maybe, I don't know if I should bother taking it.
You know,
I couldn't put it on. I was trying to do it myself because there was a hole for it, for a flower,
to me where the hole is.
but I couldn't get it
But-
on.
so the
It's right
question-
here. Here's
okay.
where I was trying to put it in,
Okay,
but then.
so the question is this, is it the same just with a nub that's missing?
Missing.
Or is it an entirely different flower that looks like this, which is probably less likely? I think it goes this way, but it certainly looks inverted, not just the nub,
Right,
unless,
it might be missing something.
unless it's almost like a plate on top of that plate, but I don't know, it does look different.
What do you think we should do? Do we
I
just-
got one
I think we
thing,
can, I
guys.
think we should take it
You
and
too.
let
Stay
Rhonda
well.
decide what they wanna do, cause they're the silversmith experts.
All
So,
right,
and they may say, let's do it this way, or let's do it this way, and I will defer to their, jeweler expertise,
Okay.
is what I do.
all right, then we'll take it to her.
Oh,
You're the boss.
well, I'm just giving an opinion and,
No, all right, now
And
now
I-
we have a place to look for
Okay,
silver
so
that might
these
need
two
repair.
can go here, these
Okay.
two can go on here, this can go on here.
Okay,
And I got three pieces, I don't know what they go to.
okay, then maybe they go to the one in the chapel. So let me go up, because they've got stuff tucked in the chapel that they're not using either, and they are in really bad shape, so I'm not even sure if it was worth it, except that we're gonna lose them.
Right.
So let's look in the chapel. So we're taking this to there,
What-
just
what
to
goes with
see
that?
the flowers. and we'll
Okay,
see
now
if-
these two can, these are not, I got it.
No, these two are, that one's partner is in here, but it was okay. This is the partner, honey, to the other one that you're holding, but see, it looks like it has all the bells.
Yeah, this is only just this one. It's not in bad shape here, take the,
Well, now leave this one here, there's no need to take it.
take it. Put it back.
Oh, you don't
Put it
wanna get
back.
the bell
No.
for it?
Because I don't know, none of the bells match, man.
All right. Fine. Let's just stay. Not connected, what is not connected?
yeah, that's what it says. I suspect that means that it's not, assigned to a photo, but I don't know. I'm just guessing.
Oh, this is fine, the other day when Sherry did her.
I'm going to take a quick pit stop. and,
Okay, thank you, I appreciate
All
it.
right, so,
Okay, let's look at
so
the
we're taking
chapel.
these four pieces right now. This piece, I don't know what to do with.
This is 5 pieces. Oh, that one we don't really find. There's nothing that you can find that matches this thing, the same as that.
Well, actually, I take that back.
We'll let Rhonda figure it out.
Okay, we'll, all right, so these,
They're used to doing it.
okay. So then I got three pieces, I don't know what to do with.
And then what's this? What's this missing?
Right here in the middle.
Oh, no, it's missing a bell. We found a bell. It's too bad I can't. There's something so you're not separated.
I'll just see if I can get some tape.
Oh, wait. Hold on, everything. There's two more bells. These two bells are the ones I got from the chapel. And they may come from the chapel. So let me go look at the chapel. Well, I found one bell that matched, and I just hung it on here. Let's see if this comes out. These are still all the unmatched stuff. Now, this looks like this goes with this. All right, I don't see any other bells that match this. Correct?
So I was going to go to Tola study, but I don't have.
I'm so sorry, what did you
I was gonna go to Tola study.
Oh, I think we found this. I think we found it, because Barry's gonna put this stuff in that box. Go to Torah
Are you
study.
good? And what,
We're good.
thank you so much. And, I certainly want to thank you. Thank you so much for doing it. And thanks, Rhonda.
They're so good.
No, they are.
Every time.
No, they are.
And this time, very little notice.
The Corinthians have supported us forever.
Yeah. Okay, I don't see any more bells there, so I'm gonna take this back to the chapel. I put
Shabbat
one bell
shalom.
in here.
And Yashikoah. Yashikoah.
Thank you, Bill.
Yes, thank you.
So that's got 4 and that's got 2. It should be nice if we can move them.
Okay, these 4 pieces, I don't know if they go to.
All right, well, we'll just take them and I guess, they're not really, in case she needs it for anything of this, we're gonna take for this, I think. All right, the only thing I was gonna say is, look, there, I'm even, there's 4 on 3, there's 4 and there's 1. Sorry, just this one. There's 2 on this one, and there was 4 on this. Just dropped the bell, I didn't see it. You could have sworn there were 4 at once.
Okay, these 4 extra pieces here, these 4 pieces, we don't know what they go to, right?
That's what I'm thinking.
Leave them.
Just tuck them back in the back of there.
Well, we can either do that, or we can take them to Rhonda and say, hey, put them wherever you can.
Well, let's just take the spare parts and say, here are spare parts in case you see anything for now. And she'll give them back if she does it.
Okay, go put those 2 back.
Wait, I think this goes this. Yes. And this has bells. It has 3 bells. This has no bells.
They'll not have the matches.
Well, I wonder if it's,
These 2 have to match.
okay, so what if we put these on this one? Then at least it has some bells. Sounds like dumbbells. Dumbbells.
We can put these 2 little ones on the top.
Okay, all right, this goes back to the chapel.